Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy, and thanks for joining us today, October 17th, on No Greater Delight, our podcast on Marian feasts and Marian meditations. Well, to start us off, we take the lead from the Abbot Orsini, who tells us that they celebrate the dedication of the crypt of Notre Dame de Chartres. He says that this was done by Saint Pontianus in the year 46, a long time ago, right? There was also the dedication of the Church of Château in the Diocese of Chalon under the title of Our Lady. And they say they also recall the dedication of the Basilica of Santa Maria, St. Mary, one of the principal and oldest sanctuaries in Europe, restored by the Holy King, the Saint King Louis IX. There you go. I'll take it from the Abbot Orsini. Then we'll jump over to Montreal in Quebec, Canada, where they celebrate Marie, Reine de Coeurs, like Our Lady, Mary, Queen of Hearts, right? St. Louis de Montfort actually came up with this title, right? We're told in 1705, when he hung a huge metal heart on the neck of a statue of the Virgin and invited the faithful to write their names on pieces of paper and place them in Mary's heart. Cardinal Léger presided at the groundbreaking of the Montfort Marian Center in Montreal on, you guessed it, October 17th, 1959, and blessed the center at its inauguration on September 10th, 1961, so it took about 2 years. It hosts many spiritual activities throughout the years. There's a statue there that depicts St. Louis de Montfort giving his heart to Mary and Jesus. Then we're going to go across the ocean again to Madonna delle Grazie in Andrano Lecce in Apulia, Italy. So this refers to a miracle that took place on October 17th in 1819, right? So we're said that this is, again, Our Lady of Grace, Madonna delle Grazie, Our Lady of Graces, is a title that's kind of broad. You hear it all the time in Italy. But this particular devotion is linked to two miraculous events that the Our Lady performed to help the community there, right? For which it says they will always be devoted and grateful, right? So one, it says, is the result of a natural disaster, and the other one, it says here, here's it here. It's from an evil caused by nostri simili, other people. The first miracle took place, like we said, on October 17th, 1819, when a hurricane beat down the I'm trying to translate this here from the Italian. Sorry. So the bell tower fell down on top of of a family of 6 people that were there, right? Because the hurricane just blew it over. But it says that they actually all came out because they all came out fine. They were all completely fine, unhurt. Because it says because they first invoked and then later asked for the intercession of Our Lady of Graces. The other miracle that takes place is, and you see this, there's a big fresco in the church, right? When the Saracens assaulted the city, and obviously the Saracens set fire to the city. And because of that, the invaders fled, right? It says, but it's very interesting because actually the city was protected. Yeah. Yep, exactly. So the city burned, and I guess it says, but the city was fine. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what happened here. But anyways, in any event, that is the situation. That's why they are so devoted to her. She protected them. In any event, those are the events that we're celebrating today in the Marian world on October 17th. For today's reading from True Devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary by Saint Louis de Montfort, we begin part 2. If you recall, part 1 was about devotion to Our Lady in general, and so Louis de Montfort gave us just, a number of different things to consider. And now, in part 2, though, we're going to start on the most excellent devotion to Our Blessed Lady, or the perfect consecration to Jesus by Mary, right? So, consecration to Jesus through Mary. And he's going to begin, he likes lists. So he gives us a couple lists here, and so we're going to have to kind of split them into different sections because there's a lot of listing here. But first, we have preliminary observations on the different ways of honoring our Blessed Lady. At point 115, he says, there are several interior practices of true devotion to the Blessed Virgin. Here are the principal of them stated compendiously, like a compendium, right? So these are the main ones. Again, these are the interior things. And this is all at point 115. First, to honor her as the worthy Mother of God with the worship of hyperdulia. That is to say, to esteem her and honor her above all the other saints as the masterpiece of grace, and the first after Jesus Christ, true God and true man. Now that's a very interesting word there, right? The word hyperdulia, right? So this is an important kind of, it's like a deep, etymologically it comes from the Latin hyperdulia, a virtue of deep submission, right? And so the Catholic dictionary, the modern Catholic dictionary by good old Father John Hardin, tells us that hyperdulia is a word, we do use it in the church, and it's for the special veneration due to the Blessed Virgin Mary, right? Now, it's less than what we would call latria, which is like adoration, which we give to God alone, right? But it's also like higher than just the regular dulia, which is just veneration, which is due to the saints, the other saints and angels, right? So as the church understands the veneration of Mary, it is to be closely associated but subordinated to that of her son, right? So we, sometimes we're accused as Catholics by the Protestants of worshiping Mary, but that's not true, right? We don't, worship or adoration goes to God alone. What we do is that among all the saints who we venerate, because they're our intercessors, they're good examples for us, out of all the saints, Mary is first, right? And so that's why we call it hyper, like, hyper is extreme or whatever, dulia, right? It's a great veneration, right? And she receives that way more than the other saints, because again, she is the Mother of God, and we call her the Queen of all the saints and the Queen of all virtues. Point 2, going back to Louis de Montfort, again, this is in point 115, but this is the second thing he says, to meditate her virtues, her privileges, and her actions. 3, to contemplate her grandeurs. 4, to make to her acts of love, of praise, and of gratitude. 5th, to invoke her cordially. 6th, to offer ourselves to her and unite ourselves with her. 7, to do all our actions with the view of pleasing her. And 8, to begin, to continue, and to finish all our actions by her, in her, and with her, so that we may do them by Jesus Christ, in Jesus Christ, with Jesus Christ, and for Jesus Christ, our last end. We will presently explain this last practice. Okay, so he's going to come back to that one and explain exactly what it means. And then that's what we'll end for today, because then he starts yet another list about external practices, right? Exterior things that we do. These are all interior. He says, honor her, meditate on her life, what she's done, contemplate how great she is, make acts of love and praise and gratitude to her, invoke her, offer yourself to her, and then whatever you do, begin, continue, finish all these actions with a view of pleasing her, and in, through, and by Mary, so that we can easily get these actions in, with, by, and for Jesus Christ.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed our Marian podcast. As St. John Paul II teaches us, from Mary we learn to love Christ, her Son, the Son of God. Through her intercession, may we grow ever closer to Him. We encourage you to share this with a loved one or friend and help spread our devotion to Mary. Thank you, and God bless.